Hello, everyone, and I'd like to welcome you to this episode of the Podfest Expo 2024 Speaker Preview Series. I've been your host over this journey for the past 22 episodes, and I'm Tom Fox. Well, in this final episode, I wanted to visit with you about my presentation at Podfest Expo, why I think, and why, more importantly, why I think you should attend Podfest Expo. My role in podcasting is that I'm the founder of two podcast networks, the Compliance Podcast Network, focusing on legal and regulatory compliance, and the Texas Hill Country Podcast Network, which is a rural podcast network. That podcast network is the subject of my talk at Podfest Expo, which is the Rural Podcast Network, a new monetization model. But this monetization model does not simply apply to a rural podcast network. It works for any podcast network that is a defined unit. That can be as small as a city block. It can be a city. It can be a state. It can be a topic. And so I hope you will plan to attend my presentation on the Rural Podcast Network. And now I'd like to visit with you about the most important topic of this podcast, which is why you should attend Podfest Expo 2024. It's the 10th anniversary. If you've never been to Podfest, this is the podcasting conference for podcasters. Obviously, there are other podcast conferences. They have different focuses. This is the podcast conference for the individual entrepreneur podcaster. It is designed for you in mind. I went for the first time in 2017, and I felt like the podcast conference was designed for me personally. That's how great it was. And every year, it's just gotten better. You'll become a part of the Podfest Expo family, and you will have friends and colleagues who you can counsel with, work with, collaborate with, or just hang out with literally throughout the year. Chris and his wife put together a fabulous conference. They're here for us. I hope you'll plan to join me at Podfest Expo 2024. I linked to the registration information in the show notes. It will be next week in Orlando from January 25th to 27th. I look forward to seeing you there. I am Tom Fox, and this is the final podcast in our Podfest Expo 2024 Speaker Series. Once again, I hope you'll join me in Orlando next week. Thank you so much.